Today, we're going to talk about how to talk yourself into positive change. Hey everyone, it's Anna from the Heartbeathive. I am a lifestyle designer and coach for creative people. This is made for creative people, but really you can take everything in this video and apply it to any area of life. Alright, so let's get started. How to talk yourself into positive change. Okay, so usually positive change comes about when you experience something negative and you're like, I don't want that. I want the other thing. Whatever is not that is what I want. So you start to recognize and say, okay, I need to change, and I need to change for the better. So for a creative person, that might be, I haven't made time to practice my music. I really want to clean my studio. It's like messy, and that's why I don't want to work. If you're a photographer, you're like, my gear's broken, blah, blah, blah. Okay? So you're always going to be able to find an excuse if you want one. And we're going to go through that. So the first thing you want to do is to start by clearly identifying what it is you want to change. So once you do that, you will be able to clarify your language and get down into the nitty-gritty of the excuses you've been making to not do the thing in order to not change. Okay? So this isn't going to get down into beliefs. This is simply about language and how to talk yourself into positive change. Okay, so after you identify clearly what you want to change, you're going to use contrast as an indicator of what you want. So whenever we experience contrast, say like something negative, we can know that we really just don't want the negative. We want anything but the negative, right? So you start looking for, okay, what is not that thing? Is this closer to what I want? Yes, no. Is this closer to what I want? Yes, no. Is that what I want? And sometimes you know it when you see it, you know it when you feel it, you know it when you say it. Okay? So after that, you're going to write the statement that you've been saying either to yourself or out loud or to friends or your parents or whatever, your bandmates, so that you can identify the language that is keeping you from making the change. So you're going to write that statement on a piece of paper. So here's two examples. One, I want to change that I don't follow through on my music practicing. I want to change that. Okay, so it's clearly identified what it is that you want to change. Another example is using the word can't. I do not like this word. It is a language bottleneck, okay? Anytime it comes about in a sentence, I'm like, why? What's going on here? So an example would be, I can't get my music practice done. I can't get to my music practice. The immediate question that comes up for me is, why? So once you write those down, you're going to say them out loud and feel how that feels to really admit it. But also, it's going to help you gain clarity of what you want, because it'll be the opposite. And if you can't get to an opposite, you just need to get one step closer, okay? Now, this is the fun part. You're going to take your negative statement that you already wrote on paper and you said out loud and you felt it and you understood what you really want to change. So now you're going to change the negative language in that statement to one of the following words or phrases. Won't, didn't, and I'm not willing to. And you're going to say that out loud and see how it feels. Go ahead. I'll give you time. Okay, So you've had time to say that out loud with those changes, right? So what this does is it forces you to have a reaction to the ownership, okay? So can't is a word that places blame elsewhere, outside of yourself. Well, I can't do this because of this person. Well, I can't do this because of this circumstance. When you say won't, you have to take ownership, which means will not, right? I will not X. Okay, that means that my decision is involved and therefore ownership. Okay, if you say I didn't, then there may be a qualifier, but you say I didn't do my music practice this week. The immediate question is why? Then you can start identifying things and maybe possible changes in your behavior in order to achieve certain results. But right now we're focused on the language. Okay, so the last phrase is I'm not willing to. Now that hurts, man. When you have to admit out loud and say out loud, I'm not willing to do my music practice. It hits you right here because you actually do want to. Okay? This is what this exercise is supposed to help you with. It's supposed to cause that internal shift to either ownership or a contrast within you of your desire to actually do the thing or to change in order to do the thing or be the thing. Okay? So saying these things out loud, writing them down, changing these words to won't, didn't, or I'm not willing to will force you to see that contrast and feel the shift internally in order to hopefully change your language and take action. So let's see what that looks like. I am not willing to get my music practice done. Actually, it doesn't feel good for me to say that because I really do want to practice my music, okay? This one says, I can't get my music practice done. So the immediate question is why? Why can't I? So I have to take ownership. Well, I didn't make enough time, I didn't get enough sleep, I didn't have my instrument ready. There's a number of things. But the question to ask is why? Okay? Most of the time, it's an excuse, okay? It's an excuse about someone else, or I just wasn't motivated. It wasn't my priority. Well, if it's not your priority, but you're still being pulled to do it, then it actually is a priority for you somewhere in your life, whether it's your spiritual life, whether it's your achievements, whether it's just the happiness that you want to feel in practicing your music or making your art or doing your thing. There is actually a priority for you. You just haven't identified it or been verbal about it or written it down until now. But it's noticeable through contrast because it keeps coming up in your mind that you want to do something, but you're finding excuses. Okay, so excuses come in many forms. This one is a big fat excuse. It's just blatant. It's a friend, that says they're going to be somewhere and then they flake out like 10 minutes before and you're already sitting there at the restaurant. Never mind. Okay, this one is like, I don't give a flip. I'm not even giving an E. Excuse. This one is a nice, pretty, excuse light. I just didn't want to do it. But you want the result, right? This one's a fancy excuse in nice font, sort of dressed up as, well, it wasn't my priority. It's still a priority if you're thinking about it and you're wanting to change. So, that's why we're doing this exercise, right? Here's another one. Oh, here's a recipe for excuses. No time, didn't want to put in the effort, I don't have enough money, I just wasn't in the mood, oh, my circumstance, too much time passed, it wasn't the right time, I didn't want to put my energy towards that, my mindset was off, All of these things are very real. But what's even more real is your desire to do or be something. And that is what you have to listen to. If it's still coming up in your mind that you didn't do something, then you need to clear out and figure out why you're still thinking about it. Most of the time, you still want to do it or you still want to be it. And at that point, you can re-examine, well, do I have to do the big giant project, or can I just get a taste of this thing, and will that satisfy my desire to do the thing? Okay? So the other thing to remember is momentum. Once you start doing something, you'll be able to tell, okay, yeah, I think I want to keep going. But finding a bunch of excuses ain't going to get you there. That's why we're doing this exercise and forcing you to write them down, say them out loud, replace those words, take ownership, and feel how much you actually want to do the thing or make the positive change. Okay, so you are not your excuses. You are not the past labels someone has placed upon you. You are not the past labels you placed upon yourself. You are not your failures. You are right now what you want to be, and really you are the change that you want to make. It's just a decision and training your mind and creating new pathways in your brain to accept that that is actually your desire. Okay? So you notice how the language makes you feel when you do these changes and you say them out loud, writing them down, typing them up, whatever you want to do. I do recommend writing them if you can, and saying them. One reason is that your voice, your personal voice, is very powerful, especially to you. If you think about it, when you talk, your voice is vibrating your body, including your organs. And one of the strongest nerves, the vagus nerve, wraps around your spinal column and other organs. So when you speak, you hum, you sing, and you use your voice, you're vibrating that nerve in a way that makes it feel good. And that brings your nervous system to a more calm state. Now, if you're yelling at people and you're yelling at yourself, like actually with your voice, that ain't going to calm the vagus nerve down. We're talking about calm communication with yourself in your own voice. It's very, very powerful. So let's look at these examples with the changes in language after I identified the problems with and the excuses that I was making for these statements. I will find time to do my music practice. So the emphasis is on me, the ownership, and then time, because I identified that there wasn't the time there, and I took ownership to say, it's my job to find the time in order for me to do this music practice and benefit and feel good about doing it and the experience, because I love music and I love playing my instruments. Okay, the next one. I love practicing my music. Now this trick is to bring in an emotion that you want to feel when you're doing the thing. So by bringing in love, you're already bringing the vibration of love, and hopefully you have good feelings about this word. Okay, lastly, I find time for my music practice and enjoy it. So that's a twofer. You find the time, you have the ownership, and then you add the emotion that you want to feel as you practice and enjoy this thing, this positive change that you want to make in your life. So when you say these statements out loud, you're going to notice that shift and how much better it feels to say them this way with your ownership and the language change versus saying, I can't get it done. I won't do it. I am not willing to make time for this. It just doesn't feel as good if the desire is strong enough within you. So when your language drifts from this new positive language to create the change, you're going to want to redirect. And can't is a big word. It is, like I said, the bottleneck. It is a bottleneck for excuses and problems and progress, right? So when you hear yourself thinking or saying can't, change to won't. And if you can't say that out loud, you'll notice that that's not really what you mean, because you will do it if, and there's usually a condition attached to it, and the condition is usually an excuse in this case. So you're going to redirect your thought, redirect your language, and it takes time. You really have to practice this pretty much daily. I actually have a list that's my vocabulary shit list, where there's just words that I'm not introducing. I'm not introducing into my language. Yeah. So let's continue on. Let's recap. Okay, number 1, you're going to identify what exactly you want to change. If you're not clear about that, it's going to be all fuzzy. You're going to find more and more and more and more excuses about why you can't do the thing. Okay, when really it's you won't. Okay, you're going to change your language. You're going to use this exercise. You can refer back to this video. Replace can't with won't, will not willing, didn't. See how it feels. And then remember that you are not your excuses. You are not your excuses. You're not your past. You're not the labels other people put upon you. You are not the labels that you've given yourself. At any moment, you are allowed to change. That's pretty powerful. It feels good, doesn't it? Take ownership. Okay, so then if you find yourself using that old language, you're going to redirect. And don't feel bad about this. Just like let it come out, listen to it, be an observer and go, that's not really what I meant. What would sound better? Rephrase it, say it out loud. And then you're going to take action over and over and over and over again. If you hit a speed bump or you slip up, don't lay guilt on yourself. Give yourself a clean slate each time. Say to yourself, I will try again. And then try again. It's important for you to keep going and moving forward in this process. And it's going to take time. Well, that's all I have for today. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope this video was beneficial. You can find me on Instagram at Heartbeathive, and you can find my website, heartbeathive.com. If you'd like to sign up for private coaching, you can do so there. Otherwise, just keep your vibration high, keep moving forward, and stay positive. #pandemic haircut.